So I've been in Vietnam for 2 weeks now and I'm having the most amazing time here. And one thing I've noticed is there's hardly any tourism here at the moment. And you guys are really missing out.
We're on a mission from God.
So there's all the obvious reasons of why Vietnam's great. You know, it's cheap, the food's great, the nightlife's awesome, the people. I'll get into all that. But there's other reasons why I think Vietnam is an awesome place to visit and why you should consider it for your next holiday. I think the main thing I like about here is that it's unspoiled by tourism. You know, it's not... I live in Thailand and I've watched the transition over the last year from having no tourists to tourists coming back. And there's been a real change there and you can see the country really thrives on tourism. People always tell me, Thailand was better 20 years ago, but I think this is what Thailand would have been like 20 years ago. It wasn't overrun by tourism. You know, you don't have things here like you get in a taxi and they just turn the meter on. You don't get hustled for the price of trying to go somewhere. You don't have to argue or anything. It's just in you get and off you go. They don't have things like dual pricing here, which is, you know, while I do understand why places do it, it's still kind of annoying, you know. Last year in Thailand, I was visiting a national park with one of my friends and we went to go look at a waterfall, and for her to get in, it was like $1, and for me to get in, it was $10. And this wasn't like some amazing gardens that had staff and people looking after it and everything. We basically just walked down a pathway to look at a waterfall. It was all natural, there was no staff, there was no upkeep. But I, for some reason, still had to pay 10 times the amount to get in. And while $10 is not a big deal for an activity or something to do on a holiday, it makes you feel like you're being taken advantage of in a way, and it can take away from the experience. Now, of course, there's the generic reasons of why Vietnam is so cool. I mean, it's cheap. Like, it's unbelievably cheap for things here. Meals are... I live in Thailand, and I think Vietnam is cheap. Especially for things like when you're going out, you know, a beer is like 80 cents in a bar outside. Food is unbelievably cheap, not just in the local areas, but also in the tourist areas. Even though I say the tourist areas, there's not a whole lot of tourism here, and the prices haven't been bumped up that much in these areas. And then you've got the food. I mean, I could make an entire video just talking about how great the food is here and how much I love it. For me, food is a big deal when I travel somewhere. I want to have great food. Vietnam has some of the best food in the world. It's everywhere, which is great too. It's really easy to find food. And on top of that, it's actually quite healthy as well. Vietnam also has a lot to offer culturally, you know. Not everyone comes on holidays to just party and enjoy the nightlife and eat and drink. There's tons to do here. There's a lot of tourist attractions. There's also, I mean, Vietnam's history is obvious. So much you can do. You know, I've been on amazing tours and explored different parts of the country and learnt so much about Vietnam's history too. And then on that, I mean, the nightlife is great, especially I'm here in Saigon. The nightlife is awesome and it's unbelievably cheap. You know, you can go out and have a really reasonable night out. You're not spending insane amounts of money. You know, beers are like $1, you know, so if you want to go out and have a big night, you don't end up spending that much money. One thing I do really like here, as a single guy traveling and, you know, going into bars, is you're not getting constantly harassed to buy girls drinks. You know, living in Thailand, this happens a lot. You know, the big people constantly coming up to you, asking if you can buy them a drink, and if you say no, they get all like shitty with you and they don't want to talk to you or even look at you anymore. But I had nights here where I was in a bar playing pool and, you know, playing pool with a girl, and they didn't even ask for a drink. I would then later offer or whatever, but, you know, they don't put that pressure on you, and it doesn't feel like a transactional experience. Here within Saigon, there's all different districts you can go out. The walking street area is great. There's tons of great bars, nightclubs. It's got a great vibe. I did a video on that recently, so if you want to check that out, you can see just what the nightlife's like here. And then you've got the people here. People in Vietnam are so lovely. They're so friendly. I've had amazing experiences here, even from my first day. So on my first day here, I was just walking through a random neighborhood, which I really recommend doing, is get out of your comfort zone, walk into a local neighborhood and really experience a country. So I was just walking through random streets. I didn't know where I was, and I met a whole bunch of guys that were just sitting around drinking, and they invited me into their home to eat their food and drink with them. They didn't want any money. They would not accept any money from me. They just wanted to show me a great time. And these experiences, you know, these memories I have from meeting people and getting into these completely random situations, they're the memories I hold dear. You get to see just how friendly people are. You know, it's a cultural difference. And I'm from Australia, and you would never ever be walking down the street and a whole bunch of random people were partying in a house, and they'd be like, hey, you come into our house and drink our beer and eat our food, and we don't want anything for it. That would never ever happen. But here, this happened to me a few times, and it's been an amazing experience every time. Halfway there. Fucking hell. If you can get close to a local person, you can have a great experience as well. You know, I just spent the last few days with Skater Girl. If you've seen those videos, we had a whole lot of fun together. But on top of that, I got to learn a lot about the culture here. She taught me about food. So we go into restaurants and I'd be eating the pho noodles, and she'd be like, no, you should put this sauce in it. Or, you know, just you learn these little things that you wouldn't otherwise know. She also took me to fantastic restaurants, great little street food places, little hole-in-the-wall restaurants off the beaten path that I would otherwise just walk straight past. And I had the best meal I had here in Vietnam, sitting on a crazy sidewalk next to a main road, this completely random experience, and I would have walked past this place and probably not even noticed it. So if you're planning a trip to Southeast Asia or anywhere, give Vietnam some thought. There's so much to it here. You know, Vietnam's also got beautiful beaches and the countryside, and I'm a city person. I'm here in Saigon, and I'm loving everything Saigon has to offer. But there's beautiful places, you know, Da Nang, Hanoi, Hoi An is beautiful. I just spent a couple of days down in Vung Tau and I had a great time there. But I do really think Vietnam has so much to offer, and there's no one here. So come, you're missing out.